Stay tuned after the video for a bonus list of new solo board games that will be inducted into the Knights of the Round Table. Top 10 lists are like windows to the past that allow you to see which games were played, when they were played, and how much enjoyment they offered. These are my favorite videos to make, and I can't wait to share this list with you all. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my top 10 solo board games of 2024. Comic Hunters is a game that I played a bunch with my son. So why did I include it here? Well, that's because there is a solo mode that has you going against Jarvis as you create the best comic book collection possible. Going to conventions, participating in auctions, shopping at stores, and visiting flea markets are really fun minigames that are entertaining and add variety to the game. It's fun to build your collection, and it's fun collecting the most sought-out comic books around. As a caveat, it's best if you can have someone else to play against, but the solo mode here works well, and it's just plain fun collecting comic books. Be warned, Jarvis is really tough to beat. If you haven't noticed, Comic Hunters is a fun game to play, especially if you've collected Marvel comics at some point in your life. Chances are you'll recognize an issue or two along the way, and to me, that's awesome. Comic Hunters is unique, and its comic book collecting gameplay strikes a nostalgic chord for me. If you're looking for a unique and entertaining game that recalls the days you spent seeking comics, Comic Hunters will give you something to smile about. Sonic Roll is a love letter to anyone that's a fan of the 16-bit Sonic. The art style is pure nostalgia, and it looks great on the table. Awesome box art, by the way, and that's something I really do appreciate. I knew Sonic Roll was a dice placement game, but what I didn't expect was the game to have as much depth as it does. You have to create a dice pool on your turn, and every character has their own unique abilities that are used to create a specific dice pool. Every time you spend a die by placing it on a badnik or on a zone, you have to re-roll your dice pool before placing another die or deciding to end the turn. There are some exceptions here and there, but that's the gist of the game. Re-rolling dice leaves you open to enemy attacks. There are surprisingly a lot of rules in this game. However, it is fun blasting through zones while fighting classic badniks as well as classic boss fights you've grown to love. Let's not forget actually playing a pretty fun rendition of the bonus stage. To me, Sonic Roll is a sleeper hit that came out of nowhere. It's not expensive, and it offers a fun dice chucking experience, a must-have for Sonic fans. Metro Runner surprisingly hits my table often. It's a very easy to learn game that offers a lot of options to choose from. Those options are what keeps me coming back to Metro Runner. Hacking, completing contracts, and taking jobs is intuitive, straightforward, and engaging. It has similarities to Splendor. To complete jobs, you make your way around the board picking up and collecting colored cubes as rewards for completing tasks. Collect the same amount of colored cubes as shown on the job cards, and you're on your way to racking up points to beat the AI. Speaking of the AI, Metro Runner has a great AI that has you playing true solo without any compromises to the core gameplay. Nothing is changed, and the best part about it is that the AI's turn is incredibly quick to resolve on its turn. That means you'll be spending your time actually playing the game instead of controlling the AI. If you have others to play with, Metro Runner becomes an even easier recommendation. A great game. Tales to Amaze is a cooperative version of Unmatched that pits you up against the Mothman and the Martian Invader. It has a phenomenal box insert, great quality components, and gameplay that will be familiar to veterans of the Unmatched series, and it's also easy to learn for newcomers to the series. The card play is engaging, and the monsters are enjoyable to fight. The biggest downside is that there's only 2 monsters to go up against, and there are similarities to their lose conditions. On the flip side, you can add any of the unmatched characters you own and play some hilariously absurd and entertaining battles. Knowing that there's an upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles version releasing later this year has me completely pumped for the future of the Unmatched adventures. Although there's only 2 monsters in this box, knowing there's more mixing and matching opportunities coming has me excited for the bright future of this series. Now I know Heat Pedal to the Metal came out in 2023, but it was impossible to find anywhere. I finally found the copy on January of 2024, but I waited until the Heavy Rain expansion released later in the year to play it. Playing with the basic rules the game teaches you for your first game was just way too simplistic for my liking. However, throwing the advanced rules into the mix was a complete game changer. The AI was phenomenal too, and it made it very easy to play a game against a track filled with other cars. Then I added the Heavy Rain expansion and adored Heat even more. Basically, I went from thinking that the game was just okay to loving it in a span of just a few short games. Heat is the only racer I've played and the only racer I want to play. Should I just go all out and try to pass my opponents at the cost of some heat? Or should I take it slower knowing there's an upcoming turn? Should I shift the gear up or down? What's the weather condition and the road like? So many options, so many things going on. There's even a championship mode that I haven't even played yet. Heat Pedal to the Metal with the Heavy Rain expansion is an easy recommendation. I really am a longtime fan of Resident Evil. I still remember working for a PlayStation 1 so that I could play Resident Evil the Director's Cut. I could have never imagined that one day a board game based on Resident Evil would exist and feel like an authentic Resident Evil experience. Everything is there. The Spencer Mansion, locked doors, keys, the iconic safe rooms, classic monsters, and the zombies that fans have known and loved. This is a faithful recreation of the video game. This is how video game adaptations should be done. Everything from the movement to items and actions are all faithful to the source material. Exploration feels just like it should. Most of the iconic moments are there. Unfortunately, you'll need some expansions to experience every iconic moment. Even with that, the core box alone feels fulfilling and had me smiling as I made my way through the Spencer Mansion. Take it from someone who's played every single Resident Evil game in existence. For fans of the Resident Evil series, this is a must-play experience. Tamashii Chronicle of Ascend is not only a great game, but it's basically The Matrix, the board game. Hacking is the name of the game here. Hack into a new body and all of a sudden you have a completely new set of skills. Hack enemies to give yourself an advantage in battles. You can even hack yourself to gain experience in a variety of different skills that give you an upper hand on your current mission. The hacking minigame is reminiscent of Bullet Heart and Star, and it never gets old. There's a bunch of different scenarios with branching paths that could be played as part of a campaign or simply as a one-off scenario. Tamashii is not only a beautiful looking game, but the gameplay rocks. The solo mode is incredibly well done. It may have been released early last year, but it was a game that I kept thinking about and playing throughout the year. Watch my review to see why I loved it so much and see if Tamashii Chronicle of Ascend may be a game that interests you. I highly recommend it. I struggled with placing my third and second favorite board game of 2024 because they're both so good. Ultimately, Invincible, the hero deck building game, was chosen for third place. What an addicting bag building, deck building, tableau building, press your luck type of game. It's basically a smorgasbord of genres mixed into one, and it all works. Moving from zone to zone, saving civilians while defeating supervillains and thwarting their plans couldn't be more exhilarating. Choosing when to stop pulling cubes from the bag is key to saving the day. Activating powers using the pulled cubes is just so much fun. Risking crashing by pulling too many black cubes versus attempting to pull off a tide-turning ability had me on the edge of my seat multiple times. At the end of your turn, every ability you pulled off offers an opportunity to purchase even more powerful cards and even strengthen current powerful cards. This game is awesome. Build your bag and deck while playing 8 different scenarios. Now that's the only downside. I wish there was more of it. I had a blast, but thankfully there are modifiers to add even more variety to the game. Hopefully we can get some expansions in the future because Invincible, the hero deck building game, absolutely rocks. Slay the Spire was exactly what I was looking for. While playing the video game it's based on, I always thought it would make for a great board game. Thankfully, that's exactly what we're getting here. The card play and combat feels right at home here. Everything you remember from the video game makes its return. From the map to the characters and from the merchant to the upgrading of your cards, everything is exactly the way it should be, and it plays and feels great. There are some changes made to make the transition from digital to real-world manageable. For example, health and attack values have been significantly reduced to help make tracking numbers easier. Collecting relics, upgrading cards, and combat makes Slay the Spire one of the most addicting and replayable board games I've ever played. This is a must-play for fans of both the video game and board games in general, especially if you love deck builders. It didn't take the top spot because there was one board game even more addicting and replayable than this. What an awesome game! I was skeptical as a fan of Dead Cells whether or not a board game could capture the feel of the video game. I was proven wrong. Dead Cells, the board game, is a spectacular achievement. It's just as addicting as the video game is. Death felt like a reward instead of feeling annoying. Every time I died, I spent cells to permanently upgrade my beheadeds and help me make every subsequent run easier, or at least help me get a little bit further. Unlocking blueprints would get me even more hyped to venture even deeper into the world of Dead Cells just to see what else I could unearth. Equipping myself with the loot I found along the way had me itching to face the next enemies or boss. I love the gameplay loop of Dead Cells. Easily the most addicting board game I have ever played, bar none. Games like this don't come by too often. Dead Cells is a gem and a must-play board game. I adore this game. 2024 was a year that took a while to pick up some steam when it came to board games, at least for me. Looking back, it actually turned out to be a pretty great year for board games, especially halfway through the year. Last year, I created a list of solo board games that have left a lasting impression on me throughout the years. These are the best of the best when it comes to the board games I've played. These games will never leave my shelf and never be forgotten. The following are the newest members to be inducted into the round table. Legendary Marvel. Warp's Edge. Dice Throne Adventures. Dead Cells. Final Girl. Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. Solo Knights. Let us welcome the Knights of the Round Table. This was Solo Board Gaming Night. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you and everyone else has a great game night. Take care, Solo Knights.